He had waited months for this day. A lonely rancher, standing in the dust with his hat in hand, praying the letters he wrote hadn't been in vain. The stage wagon rolled in, and his heart pounded as this was the moment his life might finally change. But when the door opened, it wasn't the delicate bride he had pictured. Instead, a woman twice his size stepped down, her shadow falling over him, her eyes steady and unflinching. The whole town would whisper, but in that instant, he realized destiny had sent him someone far greater than he ever imagined. The dust swirled across the empty plain as Samuel Burke stood at the edge of his ranch, hat in hand, waiting for the stage wagon that carried his future. He was a quiet man, hardened by years of loneliness, his only company the sound the ranch settled into rhythm, though Samuel still caught himself marveling at Eleanor's presence. Some evenings he'd watch her silhouette against the firelight, wondering how he ever thought he wanted someone timid. The truth was, her strength steadied him in ways silence never had. But not everyone in the valley was so quick to accept her. Whispers grew in town, children stared openly, tugging at their mothers' skirts. Shopkeepers forced smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Samuel hated it, hated how quickly folks could reduce someone to a cruel jest. One Saturday, as they left the mercantile with flour and salt, a boy shouted, "Look at the giant woman!" Laughter erupted from a group of ranch hands. Eleanor didn't flinch, didn't even look their way. But Samuel felt the sting cut deep. He clenched his jaw, his hand twitching near his belt, but Eleanor touched his arm gently. "Don't waste your fight on small men," she whispered. Still, that night Samuel's shame spilled out. "You shouldn't have to bear this," he muttered, pacing the floor. "They've no right." Eleanor set down her sewing, her calm eyes steady. "Samuel, I've lived with stairs my whole life. I didn't come here for their approval. I came here for peace. And I found Ida with you." The word struck him harder than any insult. She wasn't wounded by the town's lateral. He was. He realized then it was his pride that hurt most, not her heart. The next weeks proved Eleanor's worth in ways no gossip could undo. When a storm ripped through the valley, Samuel's fences splintered, and cattle scattered across the range. Most men would have cursed and despaired. Eleanor saddled up without hesitation, riding through mud and wind like she'd been born in the saddle. Side by side, she and Samuel drove the herd back, her shouts carrying across the storm. By dawn, they collapsed by the fire, soaked to the bone but grinning through exhaustion. Samuel couldn't help but laugh. "Eleanor Burke," he said breathlessly, "you saved this ranch." She leaned her head back against the wall, eyes closed, smiling softly. "No, Samuel, we saved it together." That was the first time he kissed her, hesitant at first, but lingering, like a man realizing the ground beneath him was finally solid. Seasons turned, the ranch flourished with Eleanor's steady hands and Samuel's quiet determination. Word spread of the couple who worked side by side, the rancher and his towering bride. The laughter in town didn't vanish overnight, but it softened as neighbors witnessed her kindness, her strength, and the peace she carried. One afternoon, Mrs. Haskins from the church visited, wringing her hands nervously. We wondered if you might help with the harvest supper. We'll need someone strong to lift the kettles." Her voice trembled, but Eleanor simply smiled, wiping her hands on her apron. Of course. That night, she ladled stew for every soul in town, and not a whisper of mockery rose. Instead, children tugged at her skirt asking for seconds, and men who once scoffed now tipped their hats. Samuel watched from the corner, pride swelling. Eleanor didn't demand respect as she earned it, day by steady day. Yet even as life grew lighter, Samuel carried one last fear. Late one night, as the fire burned low, he confessed it. "Eleanor, a broken bar. Do you ever regret it, coming here, choosing me?" She set aside her knitting, moving closer, her hand cupped his cheek, strong but tender. "Samuel Burke," she said, her voice fierce with truth, "I never once regretted stepping off that wagon. I may be more than some men want to, but you've always seen me as enough, more than enough, and that's worth every mile I traveled." He closed his eyes, overwhelmed. "I thought I was rescuing someone," he whispered. "Turns out, it was me who needed saving." The years passed, and the story of the loner rancher and his towering bride became a kind of legend whispered across the plains. Some said it was a tale of unlikely love, but those who truly knew them understood that it was never about size, or whispers, or appearances. It was about two souls who found in each other what the world had denied them, a place to belong. And on quiet evenings, when the sun dipped low and the fields glowed gold, Samuel and Eleanor stood hand in hand, proof that sometimes love arrives not in the form you expected but in the one you need most. AO. Title: CO optimized for Part 2. He expected a gentle bride, but the woman who stepped off the wagon saved his life. Description: the loner rancher thought his life would change when a delicate bride arrived at his door. Instead, the woman who stepped off the wagon was twice his size, strong, steady, and unafraid. As whispers spread through town, the rancher soon realized she wasn't the woman he imagined. She was the woman who would save his ranch, his heart, and his life. A powerful Western love story of courage, belonging, and unexpected destiny. AO. Keywords/tags: Western romance, cowboy love story, unexpected love, cinematic Western tale, mail-order bride love story, rancher and bride story, true soul stories, frontier romance, emotional cowboy love story. AO. Hashtags: #Western romance, #cowboy love, #mail-order bride, #true soul stories, #emotional story. AO. Thumbnails prompt: Part 2. A dramatic sunset over a western ranch. A small, weathered cowboy stands beside a tall, strong frontier woman holding his hand. They face the horizon together, the glow of golden light behind them. Horses graze in the background. Cinematic, emotional, realistic, evoking strength and love that defies expectations. The IO category: entertainment. Would you like me to now merge Part 1 plus Part 2 into a single full 25-minute script, around 3,200 words, so you can use it as one complete video instead of 2 uploads? Of wind through the pines and the restless hooves of his horses. He had written letters through the long winter nights, pouring his heart onto paper, hoping some stranger might understand the ache of silence he lived with. A mail-order bride was not the way most men dreamed of finding love, but for Samuel, it was the only chance left. When the wagon wheels finally creaked to a stop, his chest tightened. He'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in his mind, imagining a gentle woman stepping down, her hands nervous but her smile soft. Instead, the air shifted, and every thought fled from his mind. A figure emerged, taller than him by a full head, broad-shouldered, with eyes sharp as steel. She carried only a worn leather case in one hand, but her presence was larger than life. Samuel swallowed hard, lifting his gaze. "Ma'am," he whispered, voice catching. The woman set her case on the dirt, looking at him without flinching. "My name's Eleanor," she said, her tone low, steady, and sure. Behind them, the wagon driver gave a small laugh under his breath. "Well, rancher, you sure got yourself something unexpected." Then he cracked his reins and rode on, leaving Samuel alone in the silence with the woman who was now his bride-to-be. Eleanor's eyes softened as she studied him. She could see the way he fidgeted with his hat, the nervousness in his every breath. She was used to stares, to whispers, to men measuring her like some oddity, but this man's gaze held no mockery, only raw uncertainty. Samuel finally